This Saturday is UFC Vegas 92, Edson Barboza versus Lerone Murphy, and this is going to be my full card predictions. I'm going to go through every single fight on the card and give you a quick breakdown and prediction, starting off with the very first fight of the night, and this card is absolutely stacked with incredible fights from top to bottom. I'm being sarcastic. We have another Apex card here. It's not the worst card ever, but it's not a particularly stacked card. Starting off with the very first fight of the night, Emily Ducote versus Vanessa Demopoulos. Mediocre versus mediocre, essentially. That's literally what you have here. Ducote's coming off a win over Ashley Yoder. Competitive fight. Both scrubs. Before that, lost to Lupita Godinez, lost to Angela Hill. Vanessa Demopoulos coming off a win over Kanako Murata, where I thought it was borderline a robbery. Murata outgrappled her for all 3 rounds. You know, and it is what it is. The judges gave it to Demopoulos because Murata wasn't being super active on top. Before that, I lost to Karolina Kowalkiewicz 11 months ago. I'm going to Cody via decision. It's just mediocre versus mediocre. And Vanessa Demopoulos has horrible striking, sloppy striking, rushes forward, throwing the ugliest striking shots I've ever seen in my entire life. And Ducote, I think she's just more technical. And I think Demopoulos is going to try to grapple. I think Ducote's grappling is good enough. She showed some grappling in the Yoder fight. They both have fought basically, a lot of scrubs. But, you're looking back and Demopoulos losing to Karolina Kowalkiewicz. I don't think Lupita Godinez losing to her is that bad. I don't think losing to Angela Hill, who actually fights on this card as well, is that bad. Comparing to, losing to Karolina Kowalkiewicz, who I know at one point was a top contender. But she's getting old. She's slowing down. That wasn't that long ago. And I just think basically this will be kind of a close fight, a super mediocre fight, and Ducote will stuff the takedowns, land on the feet with her hands. She'll just be more technical on the feet. Demopoulos will get caught with right hands off balance. And I don't think either one really has the finishing ability, so I'm just going to pick Emily Ducote to win like a 30-27 or 29-28 decision. Moving up on the card, we have Alatengheili versus Edson Rodrigues. This is actually kind of a banger. This is kind of a banger prelim, honestly. Love the matchup in the bantamweight division. Tough fight to pick. Alatengheili, he can mix in the grappling. He has decent striking, decent power on his feet. He's coming off a loss against Chris Gutierrez. Not a horrible loss. And then you have Edson Rodrigues, who's an absolute savage with crazy explosive power and finishing ability. Coming off a loss against Farid Basharat. I could see this fight going either way. But I'm going to go Edson Rodrigues. I just think this guy is just too powerful, too explosive early. And Alatengheili, while he has decent striking, he does get clipped. He was getting touched up by Chad and Helliger a little bit. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but you get my point. And I'm just looking at these guys that he's beaten. I know he lost to Chris Gutierrez, lost via decision, but beating Chad and Helliger, beating Kevin Kroom, losing to Casey Kenny, even though whatever happened to Casey Kenny? Witness protection? Well, what's going on with him? He's been MIA. I forgot about his even existence. But either way, he does get touched up a little bit on the feet. Edson Rodrigues has decent takedown defense. And it's not like Alatengheili's like some elite world-class wrestler. We've seen Rodrigues get taken down by Farid, who has good grappling, but he even got back up, I think, early on. But eventually he got triangled. It's not like Alatengheili has some amazing jiu-jitsu where he's going to find a submission. So I'm going to go Edson Rodrigues to get it done. I'm going to pick him via KO in the first round. I just think he finds a kill shot in the first round. He's super explosive, nasty power, flying knees, spinning techniques. If he doesn't win in the first round, I do worry for his stamina because he's a guy that goes out there and kind of, gasses himself out in the first round looking for a finish. But overall, I just think he's better on the feet than Alatengheili, and I think he finds a kill shot and gets a KO in the first round. So I'm going Rodrigues first round KO. Moving up on the card, Pinheiro Rodrigues versus Ariane Carnelossi. Ew. I don't even want to give you a prediction for this one. I'm going Rodrigues via decision. Carnelossi, I don't even know where she's good, honestly. She's just kind of strong if she gets to a top position against somebody who has no jiu-jitsu or no get-up ability. She's losing to Lupita Godinez in her last fight. Okay, no shame in that. But beating Estela Nunes, beating Na Liang, she was losing, getting rocked in that fight. Honestly, when I was watching back some of her fights, I can't remember specifically which ones. I think Godinez and I think Na Liang, rocked her. I'm pretty sure rocked or wobbled her. So she doesn't have a chin. She's not super active. She hasn't fought in 2 years. I think Pinheiro Rodrigues, her last fight, she lost to Jillian Robertson, but she was winning on the feet, took it to the ground, low IQ decision, got submitted, got out-grappled and submitted. She hasn't beat the best competition, Sam Hughes, Kay Hansen, and then coming off of Dana White's Contender Series. But I just think Carnelossi isn't that good. She's not the best striker. She has muscles for nothing. She isn't the best grappler. And, Rodrigues, I think she can find her way up off bottom if she gets taken down. I think she can mix in the grappling and get some top position against Carnelossi. And I think she has decent hands as well. So I think Rodrigues is kind of a safe bet here. I think she gets it done via decision. Most women's MMA fights seem to go to decision. So I'm going to pick Rodrigues to just outbox her on the feet, stuff the takedowns. Carnelossi will mix in the clinch, look for some takedowns, but won't be able to find them. And I think Rodrigues just outlands her on the feet and wins a decision. I'm going to say 30-27 decision for Piera Rodrigues. Moving up on the card, we have Abus Magomedov versus Warlley Alves. Honestly, I think Abus Magomedov, his cardio is so bad that I can honestly see him losing any fight where his opponent survives. I just can't see him losing to Warlley Alves. I just can't. Warlley Alves, 3-fight losing streak, lost to Ikram Aliskerov in his last fight, got destroyed, but he took that on short notice. Before that, lost to Nicholas Dalby, which hasn't aged that bad, and that was a split decision. Before that, lost to Jeremiah Wells, got KO'd there. His last win is against Minor Lizez, and that's almost 3.5 years ago. Then before that, lost to Randy Brown. So Warlley Alves seems like a guy who just loses to those middle-of-the-pack guys. And, Abus, I feel like actually, he stepped in on short notice against Caio Baralho, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was the one that stepped in on short notice. He didn't look all that bad. He conserved his energy a little bit. He got out-grappled in that fight. I don't think Warlley Alves, who's primarily looking for the takedown, primarily looking to mix in his BJJ, I don't think he goes out there and just dominates Abus in the grappling. And I think Abus knows, okay, I'm already on a 2-fight losing streak. But he's lost to Strickland, lost to Caio Baralho. No real shame in those 2 losses, but the way in which he lost the Sean Strickland fight, dominated the first round, started to gas out at the end, then just completely gassed out and got finished. That was completely embarrassing, but it's still decent competition. Strickland and Caio Baralho. I don't think Warlley Alves is a guy that's going to be able to just ragdoll Abus. I think basically for Abus to lose this fight, he has to look for a finish early, not find a finish, and then basically, end up with the gas tank issue that we've seen and get out-grappled in the second and third. So, honestly, I'm going to go Abus Magomedov. I'm going to pick him via first-round KO. I'm going to pick him to get it done. I'm worried that if he does get the finish or hurt him and look for the finish, he does gas out. I do worry about that. But I think Abus gets it done. I think he's leaps and bounds better on the feet. I think he has good enough grappling. He took Sean Strickland down with ease and took his back. Strickland did scramble back up, but fair enough. But Warlley Alves isn't winning fights, isn't getting better, has been the same guy for years, relies on his BJJ a little bit too much. I don't think it's going to work in this fight, and I think Abus Magomedov gets it done via first-round TKO. Moving up on the card, we have Tamires Vidal versus Melissa Gatto. Tamires Vidal coming off a loss against Montserrat Rendon where she got out-grappled quite a bit. Didn't look particularly great on the feet. Melissa Gatto coming off a loss against Ariane Lipski, but that was a close fight. Before that, lost to Tracy Cortez. She had some moments in that fight. I'm going Gatto. I think she's much better everywhere outside of maybe a power advantage for Vidal. I seen Gatto, I think one of her biggest holes in her game is getting taken down and then accepting the position on bottom and looking for submissions and just not realizing, okay, I need to scramble back up. But she looked decent against Tracy Cortez. I mean, she got grappled a bit, but she even got Tracy Cortez down and got her back for a bit. So, I just think Gatto has fought better opposition. I thought even though she's lost, I don't believe in elevating fighters like crazy off of losses, but I just think in this fight in particular, Vidal, she's 7-2. She's beating Ramona Pascual. Before that, a girl from LFA. I mean, before that has a win against Aylin Perez, where Aylin Perez got DQ'd for throwing illegal knees. I can't see Tamires Vidal getting it done. I think Gatto, unless she gets caught with a nasty shot on the feet, Vidal does have some good, strong body kicks. I think Gatto gets it done. So I'm going to pick Melissa Gatto to get it done. I'm going to say submission because she has some decent submissions. I think she can get her down. I think she can control her. Gatto's moving up in weight as well. I meant to mention that she's moving up in weight from flyweight to bantamweight. I think, putting some weight on can be good for her. So I'm picking Gatto. I'm going to say second round rear naked choke. Moving up on the card, we have Oumar Sy versus Antonio Trócoli. I honestly haven't seen a lot of either one of these guys up until this fight, researching this fight. Oumar Sy just looks to grapple, has heavy ground and pound, heavy control time. And Antonio Trócoli is beating guys that aren't really that good, and he hasn't been active. He hasn't fought in 2.5 years. And he's kind of fighting guys that are just, his second win, like 2 wins ago, was against a guy who's 2-6. And Fabio, I don't even know how to pronounce it. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it right now. The guy before that, 21-13, but that's 6 years ago. That's a fight from 6 years ago. So inactive, I think Sy's bigger, stronger. You look at the reach and the height, it's about the same, actually. I thought, but you have about a 2-inch reach advantage for Sy. I think that Sy gets it done, takes him down, controls him, beats him up, and I think he gets it done. I'm going to say second round ground and pound TKO. I don't think Trócoli can go out there and stuff the takedowns and win on the feet, and Sy has decent striking. It's not great. He's going to spam takedowns, no doubt, but he's at least, the guy he fought in his last fight, Alcantara, I think is how you pronounce it, was in the UFC at one point. He took him down, beat the crap out of him, and eventually the refs jumped in, but he was tapping his strikes. So he has really good ground and pound, has good top game. I see Sy getting it done via second round ground and pound finish. Moving up on the card to the featured prelim, we have Tom Nolan versus Victor Martinez. This is a matchup. I feel like this is kind of an easy fight to pick, to be honest. I'm going Tom Nolan. I'm picking him first round KO. He was undefeated up until his last fight where he got starched by Nicholas Mota, got over aggressive, got clipped up, and got finished. Before that, coming off of Dana White's Contender Series, looked decent there. Has a bunch of finishes on his resume. And he's a guy that actually I think is a decent prospect. I kind of worry about these guys from the UK, these UK and Australian prospects, because sometimes I feel like they get hyped up a little bit too much because the UFC wants to get behind them and they want a new star from that region. And, sometimes I kind of shy away from him. I picked him against Nicholas Mota and he got clipped up and finished badly in the first round, but I don't think that's really indicative of his skills. I just think Mota, was throwing some nice tight strikes, caught him on the chin and finished him. And you look at Victor Martinez, he got finished by Jordan Levitt in his last fight, brutally by knees. Was shooting, Jordan Levitt was shooting some takedowns and Martinez had some decent takedown defense. I think Tom Nolan's really good everywhere. And I think Victor Martinez is basically just a mediocre fighter. Has okay striking, has decent straight punches, but I just don't see him going out there and chinning Tom Nolan like Nicholas Mota did. I don't see that happening, and I don't see him going out there and out grappling him. I don't even think he's going to try to grapple. I think he's going to try to strike with him. And I think Tom Nolan's younger, faster, stronger, more powerful, more skilled, more technical. You look at their age. Tom Nolan's 24 years old, 32 years old for Martinez, who's coming off a loss against Jordan Levitt, which I get it. Jordan Levitt or Nicholas Mota, either way, low-level competition. But before that, his last win's 3 years ago almost on Dana White's Contender Series. Also, you have a 3-inch reach advantage for Nolan. You have a 5-inch reach advantage or 5-inch height advantage for Nolan as well. So I'm going to go Nolan to get it done. I'm going to pick Tom Nolan via first round KO to get it done over Victor Martinez. Moving up on the card, the first fight on the main card, another women's MMA fight. We have Angela Hill versus Luana Pinheiro. I struggle with this pick. I struggle with every Angela Hill fight pick, honestly, because Angela Hill doesn't look good at all. She doesn't look like a good fighter, but somehow she's just effective. She finds a way to get it done. She doesn't really find finishes. She's decent everywhere, but she's 39 years old. Pinheiro, coming off a loss against Amanda Ribas, I picked Pinheiro in that fight. She was winning early, outstriking her, but then she gasses out in the third round and gets finished by a wheel kick. She's 30 years old, though. She's 9 years younger. But Angela Hill has a 2.5-inch reach advantage. I really think this fight is a toss-up. I'm looking back at Pinheiro's fights. Ribas is controlling her up against the fence a bit. I don't trust her cardio, especially considering the fact she gasses out and her output isn't crazy. Her output isn't crazy at all, but she somehow finds a way to gas out. She got a split decision win over Michelle Waterson Gomez. Got a win over Sam Hughes. Got a win over Ronda Marcos, but it was a legal upkick. Got a win off of Dana White's Contender Series. And then Angela Hill, I feel like she's fighting a little bit better competition. Got a win over Denise Gomez in her last fight. Lost to Mackenzie Dern, where she got out-grappled. Win over Emily Ducote. Win over Lupita Godinez. Lost to Verna Jandiroba. I'm going to pick Angela Hill to get this done. I'm not super confident in this pick by any means, But I can see her pushing Pinheiro up against the fence, doing a little bit of damage in the clinch. She has decent striking. I do think Pinheiro has a definitive power advantage, but when have we seen Angela Hill get brutally chinned? When have we seen Pinheiro even get, brutal KOs by any means? It hasn't been since Dana White's Contender Series. She's got a TKO. So I think Angela Hill gets it done. Not super confident. I don't like picking the fighter that's 39 years old over the fighter that's 30 years old. But I think Angela Hill is just good enough and just well-rounded enough. And also, I question the gas tank. Even if Pinheiro wins the first round, I see Angela Hill putting the pressure on her, putting combinations on her, wearing her down. Pinheiro maybe gets the better of her in the first round, and then Angela Hill really starts to go to work in the second and third. It's not going to be a fun fight. It's not going to be a pretty fight. It's going to be Angela Hill pushing her up against the cage in the clinch, beating her up in the clinch a little bit, and just squeaking out the second and third round. So I'm going to go Angela Hill to get it done. I'm going to say 29-28 decision win for Angela Hill. Moving up on the card. This is probably my favorite fight on the card, honestly. Yeah, it probably is. We have Adrian Yanez versus Vinicius Salvador. This is a good fight. This is a really good fight, but I think Yanez gets it done. I'm pretty confident in Yanez getting it done, but it is a fun, stylistic matchup. I know Yanez is coming off of 2 straight losses. He's coming off 2 straight TKOs as well. But look who it's against, Jonathan Martinez and Rob Font. And he was having success in the Rob Font fight as well. You look at his fights before that, I know he's not fighting great opposition, but he's brutalizing Tony Kelly. Before that, he wins against Davey Grant. It was a split decision, but I think it was pretty clear for Yanez. Before that, KO'd Randy Costa again. Not the greatest win. It was crazy that he was ranked off of these wins. How'd you get ranked off a win over Tony Kelly? But Yanez, at one point in time, I was very high on him as a prospect. And his boxing looks so good. And in this fight, you have Vinicius Salvador, who has this weird kind of wonky style. He likes to strike. He keeps his hands low. And the chin's there to be hit. And I think Yanez is much crisper on the feet. I mean, CJ Vergara is touching him on the chin. You have Victor Altamirano beating him. Mainly beat him with the grappling, but Victor Altamirano landed some good shots as well. His last win was against Shannon Ross on Dana White's Contender Series. You're going to tell me that's a great win? To KO Shannon Ross, who has literally no chin and gotten KO'd by everyone since. Needs to retire. I think he has retired, maybe. At least he's not in the UFC anymore, which I feel horrible for him. I don't see Vinicius Salvador getting it done. I don't see him mixing in the grappling. I don't see him having success with the grappling as well. Even if he did try to mix in the grappling, it's not like he's known for his wrestling. And I see Yanez just boxing him up on the feet. I could see Salvador having some success with the leg kicks, but there's no way Yanez hasn't addressed some of that leg kick deficiency from his last fight against Jonathan Martinez. And on top of that, Salvador's heavy on his lead leg as well, and Yanez has some good leg kicks himself. So I have to go Adrian Yanez in this fight. I think this is a good bounce back fight for him, but I do think it will be a fun fight while it lasts. But I'm going to pick Yanez. I'm going to say second round TKO, clips him up on the feet, puts him down, finishes him off with ground and pound. I think Adrian Yanez gets a pretty clear win here against Vinicius Salvador. And even if Salvador survives and it goes to decision, I think Yanez will win it pretty handedly. I think maybe the first round is competitive because it's slow paced, but I think Yanez gets it done. I think he gets him out of there second round TKO. Moving up on the card, we have the featured fight on the main card. We have Ramiz Brahimaj versus Themba Gorimbo. This is a showcase fight for Gorimbo. I think Gorimbo gets this done. I think this is a matchup that is very favorable to Gorimbo. We've seen the UFC is really trying to push Gorimbo. He has that relationship with The Rock. The UFC wants to get behind him. And you look at Brahimaj, his last win's 2 years, 2 months ago against Michael Gilmore. Last fight before that, lost to Court McGee. Now, fair enough, that was two years ago, a little over 2 years ago. Court McGee was a dead body 2 years ago. Okay? Now, you look at Themba Gorimbo, a win over Pete Rodrigues. I understand Pete Rodrigues isn't that good, but Gorimbo made him look not good. Starched him out cold in like the first minute. Fight before that, beat Takashi Sato, out-grappled him and beat him, won a decision, pretty clear. His last loss to AJ Fletcher wasn't great. It hasn't aged that great either. But I think if they run that back, I think Gorimbo probably wins that fight. I think this is a tailor-made matchup for Gorimbo. Gorimbo has good grappling. He wants to take you down. He wants to get your back, and he wants to submit you. But he also has improving stand-up and has good power. Brahimaj doesn't have that good of striking. He wants to grapple. He will spam the grappling, and I don't think he has the wrestling ability to get Gorimbo down and control him. Court McGee was taking Brahimaj down and controlling him multiple times. Court McGee was landing on his chin and touching him up multiple times in that fight. And honestly, losing to Court McGee Once I seen that, I'm like, okay, there's no way I'm picking Brahimaj in this fight. Gorimbo gets it done. It's just a matter of how does he get it done. I think Court McGee might even had his back at one point. I might be mistaken on that. But if Court McGee can get his back, if Court McGee can just get him down and control him a little bit, what do you think Gorimbo's going to do? So I could see Gorimbo getting it done. I could see him KOing him on the feet. I could also see him taking him down and submitting him. But I think Brahimaj's decent enough with the grappling. I'm going to say he's okay enough with the grappling. And Gorimbo maybe knows that is Brahimaj's strength. This is jiu-jitsu not off his back, but it's jiu-jitsu in general. And Gorimbo's going to look for that big showcase KO again. And that's why I'm going to pick Themba Gorimbo. I'm going to pick second round TKO. I think he clips him on the feet. I think I could see him finish him in the first round, but I think it may be a little bit tougher in this matchup. I think Brahimaj is a little bit better than Pete Rodrigues, maybe. But that's really even a stretch. So I say Brahimaj is going to lose the first round pretty clearly, maybe even get taken down, controlled a bit. But I think Gorimbo is going to look for that finish on the feet, and I think he's going to find it. I'm picking Themba Gorimbo, second round TKO, clips him with a big shot on the feet, fouls him to the ground, smashes him out with ground and pound. Moving up on the card to the co-main event, we have Khaos Williams versus Carlston Harris. This is actually a tricky fight. The last few I said, this is pretty straightforward. And who knows in MMA, honestly, anything could go either way. But Khaos Williams versus Carlston Harris, honestly, is a little bit tricky. Because Carlston Harris, his resume or his recent fights are kind of deceiving. Jeremiah Wells submitted him, but was getting dominated in that fight and then got a anaconda choke in the third round. Before that, beat Jarrett Gooden, which, okay, yeah, out-grappled Jarrett Gooden. Before that, lost to Shavkat, okay. There's no shame in losing to Shavkat Rakhmonov. Before that, a win over Impa Kasangane, TKO'd him. Before that, a win over Christian Aguilera, not that great. And you have Khaos Williams, last fight, lost to Rolando Bedoya. So, you look at that, it's a split decision. It wasn't the greatest outing for Khaos Williams. Then before that, lost a split decision, he beat Rolando Bedoya by split decision, but it was a very competitive fight. I think a lot of people even thought Bedoya won. Then the fight before that, lost a split decision to Randy Brown. But he was touching up Randy Brown, even hurt Randy Brown at one point in that fight. Before that, a KO over Miguel Baeza. Before that, a win over Matthew Semmelsberger. Before that, lost to Michel Pineda. Khaos Williams has decent grappling. So I don't think Carlston Harris is going to be able to expose him in the way like he did Jarrett Gooden. But, I think it's one of those fights where I think Carlston Harris has a little bit of a grappling advantage. And I think Khaos Williams has a little bit of a striking advantage, or a little bit more than a little bit of a striking advantage, like a decent striking advantage. And that's why I'm going to pick Khaos Williams. Also, I was going back and forth with this pick. I'm looking at Khaos Williams, 30 years old. Carlston Harris, 36 years old. I think definitely Khaos Williams has more power. I think Khaos Williams is definitely better on the feet. I think Carlston Harris might have a stamina advantage. You look at Khaos Williams in the Rolando Bedoya third round, or even the Randy Brown third round, where I think he even got rocked in that third round, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mixing that up. But looking a little bit tired. Carlston Harris is pulling out anaconda chokes in the third round against Jeremiah Wells when he's been out-grappled the entire fight and forced to work the entire fight. So I could see Carlston Harris maybe pulling something off in the third round. But I think Carlston Harris is going to be outmatched on the feet. I think he's going to be looking for takedowns. I think Khaos Williams has good enough takedown defense where he'll be able to shuck off a lot of those takedowns. If he does get taken down, I think he'll be explosive enough to get back to his feet. So I'm going to pick Khaos Williams to get it done. I'm going to pick him via decision. I don't think he's going to be like Shavkat Rakhmonov and get him out of there with a TKO or KO. So I could see Khaos Williams getting a KO, but I'm going to pick him via decision. I'm going to say he beats Carlston Harris. I'm going to say 29-28 decision. Loses the third round. But I think Carlston Harris's striking is just far too sloppy. He tries to be super explosive. He tries to be just aggressive and throws these wild looping combinations. And I see him getting touched up a bit by Khaos Williams, who I think is a little bit more technical. He likes to throw a little bit of wild shots as well, but I think he's just a little bit more technical. And I think Khaos Williams gets it done via decision. Moving up on the card, we have the main event. Edson Barboza versus Lerone Murphy. I keep wanting to call him Lerone Murphy, but it's Lerone Murphy. Who has Lerone Murphy beat? Josh Coulibaly, Gabriel Santos, split decision against Gabriel Santos where he got out-grappled. Makwan Amirkhani, straight up bum. Thank you, Justice for Mike Grundy. Douglas Silva de Andrade, Ricardo Ramos. You know, the best win is the Gabriel Santos win, who I think Gabriel Santos is actually pretty good and was undefeated at the time, but I think Gabriel Santos might have took that on short notice. Edson Barboza is coming off a win against Sadiq Yusuff, coming off a win over Billy Q. Last loss was to Bryce Mitchell, who was a relentless grappler, and then before that loss to Giga Chikadze, got finished. But I think Murphy's going to come out and grapple nonstop, but I don't think he has the ability to pull that relentless grappling style that Bryce Mitchell had and to pull it off, especially in a 5-round fight. You know, I don't think he has like the worst cardio ever, but we've never seen him go 5 rounds, at least not in the UFC. He was getting tired in the Gabriel Santos fight, which he was getting out grappled by Gabriel Santos. I don't think he has the pressure of a Bryce Mitchell to go out there and just press forward nonstop and, you know, back Edson Barboza up nonstop and grapple nonstop. And I think Edson Barboza is the far superior striker. Super explosive with his kicks. And, you know, I understand, you know, it's tough because Barboza is 38 years old, but he got rocked badly against Sadiq Yusuff and survived. I picked Sadiq Yusuff in that fight, and he came back and won. I could see a scenario where even if Lerone Murphy outgrapples him in like the first or second round and maybe wins the first or second round, I see Barboza starting to come on strong in that 3rd, 4th, and 5th and potentially winning the decision, winning the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round. I could see a scenario like that. Murphy has decent striking. I don't think it's on the level of Edson Barboza, and especially the kicks. I do think, and if I was Barboza's manager, I would have campaigned for something else. I do think it's a massive advantage for Murphy to be in the apex, the smaller cage. But ultimately, Barboza, he's lost to grapplers. But typically, he's getting, you know, out-grappled by really, really solid grapplers. And I don't think Murphy is as good of a grappler and relentless as a grappler as someone like Bryce Mitchell. I don't think he's as good as a grappler or relentless as a grappler as Khabib Nurmagomedov. I don't see Murphy going out there and just wet blanketing him for 5 rounds. I don't know why I'm stumbling over my words brutally. But I don't see Murphy doing that for 5 rounds where he just takes him down, controls him, beats him up for 5 rounds. Don't see that happening. I see it being competitive early with Murphy getting some clinch control, but I think Barboza, leg kicks, body kicks, keeping the distance, circling around, and having the better cardio to get the better of Lerone Murphy in that 4th and 5th round. And I see Murphy kind of starting to gas out a little bit as the fight goes on. So I'm going to go Edson Barboza to get it done. The real question is, do I pick him via decision or TKO? I'm going to pick Edson Barboza to finish him. I'm going to say late 3rd round TKO for Edson Barboza. I see Murphy getting tired. I see Murphy, you know, kind of wearing the damage of Edson Barboza's kicks throughout the fight, even if he gets the better of him a little bit with the grappling. I see Barboza forcing Murphy to work as Barboza gets taken down and gets back up, and they're working against the fence, and Murphy is consistently trying to drag him to the ground. But I think Barboza's takedown defense is good enough to get back to his feet and stuff some of the takedowns. And I just don't think, I think this is a little bit too much too soon for Murphy. And, you know, also another factor in this prediction, I find it hard to believe in any of these UK prospects. Not any of them, but it takes a lot to convince me because I've been fooled one too many times with some of these guys from the UK and especially the Cage Warriors champions. I don't know at one point if Lerone Murphy was a Cage Warriors champion, but a lot of these UK guys get overhyped. And I don't think Murphy gets it done against Edson Barboza. I'm going to pick Barboza to TKO him in the late 3rd round. I think his kicks are too much. I think his durability is too much. And I think his takedown defense will be too much. I got Edson Barboza to get it done. The veteran in Edson Barboza. I will never forget that brutal spinning back kick KO of Terry Edom. I think that was like back in like 2012. It's crazy that Barboza at one point was a young prospect. It's crazy to see he's 38 years old now. But I think he gets it done. I think he gets it done with his striking, and I think he gets it done with his takedown defense. I'm picking Edson Barboza to get it done over Lerone Murphy. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.